Complete Works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 5, Section 3. The cause of illusion. The question, what is cause of Maya or illusion, has been asked for the last 3000 years, and the only answer is when the world is able to formulate a logical question, we shall answer it. The question is contradictory. Our position is that the absolute has become this relative only apparently, that the unconditioned has become the conditioned only in Maya. By the very admission of the unconditioned, we admit that the absolute cannot be acted upon by anything else. It is uncaused, which means that nothing outside itself can act upon it. First of all, it is unconditioned. It cannot have been acted it cannot have been acted upon by anything else. In the unconditioned, there cannot be time, space, and causation. That granted your question will be. That granted your question will be. What caused that which cannot be caused by anything to be changed into this? Your question is only possible in the conditioned. But you have to you have to take it out of the conditioned and want to ask it in the unconditioned. Only when the unconditional becomes conditional and space, time, and causation come in can the question be asked. We can only say ignorance makes the illusion. The question is impossible. Nothing can have, nothing can have worked on the absolute. There was no cause, not that we do not know or that we are ignorant, but it is above knowledge and cannot be brought down to the plane of knowledge. We can use the words I do not know in two senses. We can use the word I do not know in two senses. In one way, they mean that we are lower than knowledge, and in other way that the thing above and the thing and the other way that the thing is above knowledge. We can use words I do not know in two senses. First, first they mean that we are lower than knowledge, and second that the thing is above the knowledge. The X-rays have become known now. The very causes of these are disputed, but we are sure that we shall know them. There, here, we can say we do not know about the X-rays, but about the absolute we cannot know. Here we can say we do not know about the X-ray, but about the absolute we cannot know. In the case of X-ray, we do not know, although they are within the range of knowledge. Only we do not know them yet. But in the other case, it is so much beyond knowledge that it ceases to be a matter of knowing. By what means can the knower be known? You are always yourself and cannot objectify yourself. This was one of the arguments used by our philosophers to prove immorality. To prove immortality. If I try to think I am lying dead, what have I to imagine? That I am standing and looking down at myself, at some dead body, so that I cannot objectify it myself. Next, evolution. In the matter of projection of Akash and Pran into manifested form and the return of or return to the fine state, there is good deal of similarity between Indian thoughts and modern science. The modern have their evolution, and so have the yogis. But I think that the yogis' explanation of evolution is better one. The change of one species into another is attained by the infilling of nature. The basic idea is that we are charging or changing. The basic idea is that we are changing from one species to another and that man is higher species. Patanjali explains his infilling of nature by the simile of peasants irrigating field. By the simile of pigeons irrigating field. Our education and progression simply mean taking away the obstacles, and by its own nature, the divinity will manifest itself. This does away with all the struggles for existence. The miserable experience of life are simply in the way and can be eliminated entirely. They, we, they are not necessary for evolution, even if they did not exist or we should progress. It is in the very nature of things to manifest themselves. The momentum is not from outside but comes from inside. Each soul is the sum total of the universal experiences already coiled up there, and of all these experiences, only those will come out which find suitable circumstances. Some of the topics which precede and follow are taken from the answer given by Swami to questions at afternoon talks with Harvard students on March 22nd to 24th. March 22nd and 24th, 1896. There have also been added notes and selections from the unpublished lectures and discourses. Each soul is a sum total of the universal experience already coiled up there, and of all these experiences, only those will come out which find suitable circumstances. So the external things can only the external things can only give us the environment. This competition and struggles and the evils that we see are not the effect of the evolution, are not the effect of involution or the cause, but they are in the way. If they did not exist, still man would go on and evolve as God, because it is a very nature of that God to come out and manifest himself. To my mind, this seems very hopeful instead of that horrible idea of competition. The more I study history, the more I find that idea to be wrong. Some say that if man did not fight with men, he would not progress. I also used to think so, but I find now that every war has thrown back human progress by 50 years instead of hurrying it forward. The day will come when men will study history from different light and find the competition is neither the cause nor the effect. Simply a thing on the way, with on the way, not necessary to evolution at all. The theory of Patanjali is the only theory I think a rational man can accept. How much evil the modern system causes. Every wicked man has a license to be wicked under it. I have seen in this country physicists who say that all the crime or the criminals ought to be exterminated, and that that is the only way in which criminality can be eliminated from the society. This environment can hide, but they are not necessary to progress. The most horrible thing about the competition is that one may conquer the environment, but that where one may conquer, thousands are crowded out. So it is evil at best. That cannot be good with helps only one and hinders the majority. Patanjali says that this struggle remains only through our ignorance and are not just our impatience and are not necessary and are not part of the evolution of man. It is just an our impatience which creates them. We have not the patience to go and work our way out. For instance, there is a fire in the theater and the only a few escape. There's a fire in the theater and only a few escape. The rest is trying to rush out, crush one another down. That crush was not necessary for salvation of the building, nor of the two or three who escaped. If all that had gone out slowly, not one would have been hurt. That is the case in the life. The doors are open for us, and we can all get out without the competition and struggle, and yet we struggle. The struggle we create through our own ignorance, through impatience, we are in too hurry or too great hurry. The highest manifestation of strength is to keep ourselves calm and on our own feet. The highest manifestation of strength is to keep ourselves calm and on our own feet. Buddhism and Vedanta. Buddhism and Vedanta. The Vedanta philosophy is the foundation of Buddhism and everything else in India, but what we call the Advaita philosophy of the modern school has a great many conclusions of the Buddhist. Of course, the Hindus will not admit that is the Orthodox Hindus because to them the Buddhists are heretics. But there is a conscious attempt to stretch out the whole doctrine to include the heretists also. The Vedanta has no quarrel with Buddhism. The idea of Vedanta is to harmonize all. With the Northern Buddhist, we have no quarrel at all. But the Burmese and the Siamese and all the Southern Buddhists say that there is a phenomenal work and ask what right we have to create a nominal world behind this. The answer of the Vedanta is that this is a false statement. The Vedanta never contended that there was a nominal and the phenomenal world. There is one. Seen through the senses, it is phenomenal, but it is really the nominal all the time. The man who sees the rope does not see the snake. It is neither the rope nor the snake, but never the both. It is neither the rope or the snake, but never the both. So the Buddhist statement of our position that we believe there are two worlds is entirely false. They have the right to say it is the phenomenal if they like, but no right to contend that other man has not the right to say it is nominal. Buddhism does not want to have anything except phenomena. In phenomena only is desire. It is desire that is creating all this. Modern Vedantis do not hold this at all. We say there is something which has become the will. Will is a manufactured something, a compound, not a simple. Will is a manufactured something, a compound, not a simple. There cannot be any will without an external object. We see that the very position that will created the universe is impossible. How could it? Have you ever known will without the external stimulus? Desire cannot arise without stimuli or stimulus, or in the modern philosophical language of nerve stimulus. Will is a sort of reaction of brain, what the Sankhya philosophy called buddhi. This reaction must be preceded by action, and action presupposes an external universe. When there is no external universe, naturally there will be no will. And yet, according to your theory, it is will that created the universe. Who creates the will? Will is a coexistent with the universe. Will is one phenomena caused by same impulse which created the universe. But philosophy must not stop there. Will is everything personal or entirely personal. Therefore, we cannot go with the scoffinier at all. Will is a compound, a mixture of the internal and the external. Suppose a man may or man were born without any senses. He would have no will at all. Will requires something from outside, and the brain will get some energy from inside. Therefore, will is compound. Will is a compound as much a compound as the wall or anything else. We do not agree with the will theory of these German philosophers at all. Will itself is a phenomenal and cannot be absolute and cannot be the absolute. It is one of the many projections. There is something which is not will but is manifesting itself as will. That I can understand, but that will is manifesting itself as everything else. I do not understand. Saying that we cannot have any conception of will has separate from the universe. When that something which is freedom becomes will, it is a caused by time, space, and causation. Take Kanta analysis. Kanta's analysis. Take Kanta's analysis. Will is within time, space, and causation. Then how can it be absolute? One cannot will without willing in time. One cannot will without willing in time. If we can stop all thoughts, then we know that we are beyond thoughts. We come to this by negation. When every phenomena has been negatived, whatever remains, that is it. That cannot be expressed, cannot be manifested, because the manifestation will be again will. So the Vedanta philosophy, on the Vedanta philosophy, next on the Vedanta philosophy. The Vedantis say that the man is neither born nor dies nor goes to heaven, and that in reincarnation is really a myth with regard to the soul. The example is given of the book being turned out. It is a book that evolves, not the man. Every soul is omnipresent, so where can it come and go? These births and deaths are changes in nature which we are mistaking for changes in us. Reincarnation is a evolution of nature and the manifestation of God within. The Vedanta says that each life is built upon the past, and that when we can look back over the whole past, we are free. The desire to be free will take the form of a religious disposition from childhood. A few years will, a few years will, as it were, make all truth clear to one. After living this life and while waiting for the next, a man is still in the phenomenal. We would describe the soul in this words. We would describe the soul in these words. The soul, the sword cannot cut. This soul, the sword cannot cut. Not pierce the spear, nor the spear pierce. The fire cannot burn, nor water melt it. Indestructible, omnipresent is this soul. Therefore, weep not for it. If it has been very bad, we believe that it will become good in time to come. The fundamental principle is that there is eternal freedom for everyone. Everyone must become or must come to it. We have a struggle impelled by our desire to be free. Every other desire, not every other desire, but that to be free is elusive. Every good action, the Vedantis say, is the manifestation of that freedom. I do not believe that there will come a time when all the evil in the world will vanish. How could it that be? This stream goes on. Masses of water go out at one end, but masses are coming in the other end. The Vedanta says that you are pure and perfect, and that there is a state beyond good and evil, and that is your own nature. It is higher even than good. Good is only a lesser differentiation than evil. We have no theory of evil. We call it ignorance. So far as it goes, all dealing with other people, All ethics is in the phenomenal world, has the most complete statement of truth. We would not think of applying such thing as ignorance of God. Of him we say that he is existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Every effort of thought and speech will make the absolute phenomenal and break its character. There is one thing to be remembered, that the assertion, I am God, cannot be made with regard to the sense world. If you say in the sense world that you are God, what is to prevent your doing wrong? So the affirmation of your divinity applies only to the nominal. If I am a God, I am beyond the tendencies of senses and not do evil. Morality, of course, is not the goal of man, but the means through which this freedom is attained. The Vedanta says that yoga is one way that makes man realize this divinity. The Vedanta says that this is done by the realization of the freedom within and that everything will give way to that. Morality and ethics will all range themselves in their proper places. All the criticize all the criticism against the Advait philosophy can be summed up in this, and that is does not conduct to sense enjoyment, and we are glad to admit that. The Vedanta system begins with tremendous permissions or pessimism and ends with the real optimism. We deny the sense optimism but assert the real optimism of the supersensuous. That real happiness is not in the senses but above the senses, and it is in every man. The sort of optimism which we see in the world is what we lead to ruin through the senses. Abnegation has great importance in our philosophy. Negotiation implies affirmation of the real self. The Vedanta is pessimistic so far as it negatives the world of the senses, but it is optimistic in its assertion of the real world. The Vedanta recognizes the reasoning power of man a good deal, though it says there is something higher than intellect, but the road lies through intellect. We need reason to drive out all other superstitions, and what remains is Vedantism. There is beautiful Sanskrit poem in which the sage says to himself, "Why weep thou, my friend? There is no fear, no death for thy. Why weepest thou? There is no misery for thy. For thou art like the infinite blue sky. Unchangeable is thy nature. Clouds of all colors come before it, play for a moment, and pass away. It is the same sky. Thou hast only to drive always the cloud. We have to open the gates and clear the way. The water will rush in and fill in by its own nature because it is there already. Because it is there already. Man is a good deal conscious. Man is a good deal conscious, partly unconscious, and there is a possibility of getting beyond consciousness. It is only when we become men that we can go beyond all reasons. The words higher and lower can be used only in the phenomenal world. To say them of the nominal world in simply contradictory because there is no differentiation there. Man manifestation is the highest in the phenomenal world. The Vedantists say, the Vedantist says he is higher than the Devas. The God will all have to die and will become man again. And in the man body alone they will become perfect. It is true that we create a system, but we have to admit that it is not perfect because the reality must be beyond all systems. We are ready to compare it with other. systems and are ready to show that this is the only rational system that can be. But it is not perfect because reason is not perfect. It is, however, the only possible rational system that a human mind can conceive. It is true to the certain extent that the system must disseminate itself to be strong. No system has disseminated itself so much as the Vedant. It is personal contact that the teachers even know. A mass of reading does not make men. Those who were real men were made so by the personal contact. It is true that there are very few of these real men, but they will increase. Yet you cannot believe that there will come a day when we shall all be philosophers. We do not believe that there will come a time when there will be all happiness and no unhappiness. Now and then we know a moment's supreme bliss when we ask nothing, give nothing, know nothing but bliss. Then it passes and we again see the para, panorama, again see the panorama of the universe coming before us, and we know that it is but the mosaic work set upon God, who is the background of all things. The Vedant teaches that nirvana can be attained here and now, that we do not have to wait for death, that we do not have to wait for death to reach it. Nirvana is the realization of the self, and after having once known that, if only for an instant, never again can one be deluded by the mirage of personality. Having eyes, we must see the apparent, but all the time we know what is. We have found out its true nature. It is the screen that hides the self, which is unchanging. The screen opens and we find the self behind it. All change is in the screen. In the scent of screen is thin, and the reality can almost shine through. In the sinner, the screen is thick, and we are liable to lose sight of the truth that the Atma is there, as well as behind the saint's screen. When the screen is wholly removed, we find it really never existed. That we are or we were the Atman and nothing else. Even the screen is forgotten. The two phases of this distinction is life. Our first are the two phases of this distinction in life are: first, that the man who knows the real self will not be affected by anything. Second, that man alone can do good to the world. That man alone will have see the real motive of doing good to others, because there is the only one. It cannot be called egoistic, because that would be differentiation. It is the only selflessness. It is the perception of the universal, of the individual, but not the individual. Every case of love and sympathy is an assertion of this universal, not I, but thou. Help another because you are in him and he is in you, is the philosophical way of putting it. The real Vedantist alone will give up his life for the fellow man without any compunction, because he knows he will not die. As long as there is one insect left in the world, he is living. As long as one mouth eats, he eats. So he goes on doing good to others and is never hindered by the modern ideas of caring for the body. When a man reaches this point of abnegation, he goes beyond the moral struggle, beyond everything. He sees in the most learned priest, in the cow, in the dog, and in most miserable places, neither the learned man, nor the cow, nor the dog, nor the miserable place, but the same divinity manifesting itself in them all. He alone is the happy man, and the man who has acquired that sameness has, even in his life, conquered and all existence. conquered all existence. God is pure, therefore, such a man is said to be a living in God. Jesus says, Before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. That means that Jesus and others like him are free spirits, and Jesus of Nazareth took human form, not by the compulsion of his past action, but just to do good to the mankind. It is not that when a man becomes free, he will stop and become a dead lump, but he will be more active than any other being, because if every other being acts only under compulsion, he alone through freedom. If we are inseparable from God, have we not or have we no individuality? Oh, yes, that is God. Our individuality is God. This is not the individuality you have known. You are coming towards that. Individuality means what cannot be divided. How can you call this individuality? 1 hour you are thinking one way, and the next hour another way, and 2 hours after another way. Individuality is that which changes not. It belongs all the things changeless. It belongs to all the things changeless. It is or it would be tremendously dangerous for the state or to remain in eternity, because then the thief would always remain the thief, and the blackguard a blackguard. If a baby died, he would have to remain a baby. The real individuality is that which never changes and will never change, and that is the God within us. Vedantist is an expansive ocean. Vedantism is an expansive ocean on the surface of which a man of war could be near a catamaran. So, in the Vedantic ocean, a real yogi can be by the side of an idolater, or even an atheist. What is more, in the Vedantic ocean, the Hindu, Mohammedan, Christian, Parsi are all one, all children of the Almighty.